All right, guys, the day is finally here. Starfield reviews are starting to break the internet and breaking people out there because the game is really good. Also, I do have some different audio because I'm not quite at home. I don't have my normal audio. So if there's any issues with the audio, I'm terribly sorry about that. I'll do the best that I can with it. But in this review roundup for Starfield, one of the biggest games ever made in terms of just sheer size, but also one of the biggest Microsoft or Xbox exclusives within the last decade. A lot is riding on this game. So how did it do? Well, we're going to break down all of the top scores, the medium scores, the bottom scores, and kind of look overall. But so far, so good. 93 percentile critic recommendation on OpenCritic. So people are recommending the game. They're saying you should absolutely check it out. When it comes to the overall average, it's at an 87, giving it a mighty score. The mighty score is one of the top score aggregates that you can get. So that's absolutely a good thing that Starfield has an 87 average so far. But what are individually people are saying? Because there's been some obviously great reviews, but there's also been some lower end reviews from some big places. So we'll get into the meat and potatoes of all of this. But before we do, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to the video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch and RPG videos first, like Starfield. So we're gonna start off here at the top of the top. We have Leon Hurley from Games Radar Plus, and they had this to say: with this kind of freedom, avoiding the main mission is the main mission. Awesome stuff there. Next up is Destructoid from Mr. Stephen Mills, and he gave the game a 10 out of 10 and had this to say: I wasn't sure if it could be done, but Bethesda has managed to raise the bar for sandbox games even higher. In the end, Starfield is an epic sandbox open world RPG with a beautifully immersive universe, a captivating story, and fun and compelling gameplay the whole way. I'm so happy to have experienced Starfield organically, and I really hope you get to as well. Good review there. Next up is from Attack of the Fanboy from J.R. Watt, and they gave it a 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10. It said Starfield is the most potent value proposition for Game Pass, being the killer app for the subscription service. It is also the best, most ambitious game in the Xbox Game Studios library to date. It would not be a stretch to say this could be one of the most ambitious games ever made, and that it followed through with many of those goals with relatively low compromise. All right, next up is from Dalton Cooper at Game Rant, and he had this to say, gave it a 10 out of 10. Starfield delivers on everything it promised and then some. Good little quote there. Next up is from Gaming Bolt. They gave it a 10 out of 10 and had this to say: as unfathomably vast and bound as the subject matter it covers, Starfield raises the bar for its genre and for the medium as a whole in countless ways, much like the best of its Bethesda-developed forebears did in their time. Awesome stuff there. Next up is from Pixel Arts, and they gave it a 10 out of 10 and had this to say: Starfield surpasses all expectations from Bethesda and then some. It's a sprawling, captivating masterpiece brimming with intricate details, leaving you torn over which aspect of gameplay to immerse yourself in. This game redefines the RPG genre, offers an outstanding action-packed experience, and serves as an all-encompassing simulator of the universe. Whether you're prepared to embark on a galactic odyssey that spans hundreds of hours or not, Starfield beckons, and if time is scarce, you'll want to clear your schedule ASAP. Okay. Next up is from Infinite Start. They gave it a 10 out of 10 and had this to say: all in all, Starfield stands as a testament to Bethesda's creative prowess and dedication. It has succeeded in crafting an immersive universe that encapsulates the spirit of exploration and adventure. With its captivating storyline, redefined mechanics, and attention to detail, Starfield beckons players to venture into the cosmos and experience a journey that will likely resonate for years to come. All right, so there's a lot of 10 out of 10 scores. There's at least 4 or 5 more 10 out of 10s, but let's go ahead and get into the 9 out of 10 scores. Starting off at the top here, RPG Fan, they gave it a 9.8 out of 10 and had this to say: Starfield delivers on its promise to make a huge, fun, compelling, and player-focused playground for sci-fi RPG fans to play and perform in. Next up is from Xbox Era. They gave it a 9.7 out of 10 and had this to say: Starfield is a new beginning, not only for Bethesda, but for Xbox as a whole. With excellent writing, stunning graphics, and thrilling gameplay, it makes the galaxy yours to explore, shape, and live in. It is a wondrous tapestry to experience your story in a way that only the best have done before. Awesome stuff there. Next up is from Gaming Nexus. They give it a 9.5 out of 10 and had this to say: when they are firing on all cylinders, Bethesda games deliver pure video game magic, and Starfield is no exception, offering an enormous galaxy to explore, a ludicrous wealth of interesting content, well-written characters, and innovative mechanics that push the genre in new directions. Starfield is a mostly clean experience at launch that should be experienced by all action RPG fans. This is a new classic. Awesome to hear that. I'm a big action RPG fan myself, and I actually used to be into Bethesda's games a lot and really haven't been too interested in their latest releases, but this game is bringing me back in. All right, next up is from Digital Chumps. They gave it a 9.5 out of 10 and had this to say: Starfield changes the RPG game by adding a slow burn of a main quest alongside a character management system that keeps players' powers in check. It's nearly perfect, and I can't wait to spend another chunk of my life playing another excellent Bethesda RPG. All right, next up is from CG Magazine. They gave it a 9.5 out of 10, saying, despite its occasional bug, unexplained mechanic, or small gripe, Starfield is one of the premier titles in Xbox's library and adds to Bethesda's storied history. Let's go ahead and move into the lower section of 9 out of 10 scores. So this comes from Shaq News. They gave it a 9 out of 10 and had this to say: Starfield is more than a welcome addition to Bethesda's family of RPG franchises. It feels like the start of a new era for the studio. Not only is it the developer's most technically impressive game, but it also delivers a worthwhile narrative that takes some major swings and establishes a sprawling mythos. It has some blemishes here and there, but Starfield proves to be an awesome sci-fi adventure. Next up is from Video Gamer. 9 out of 10. Starfield is the enchantment and wonder of space bottled and fleshed out into something grand and ambitious, thoughtful and attentive. Janky at times, often funny, but always charming. So a little bit of that Bethesda jank in there, which is okay. We all know Bethesda, right? All right, next up is from Gaming Trend. They gave it a 9 out of 10 and had this to say: Bethesda Game Studios has reached new heights in Starfield. A thrilling narrative loaded with an entire universe to explore and backed by sublimely polished systems has ushered in the ultimate Bethesda experience. It's truly hard to summarize just what makes Starfield special, and that's because so much of it is you'll be glued to your screen for hours, going where no explorer has gone before. Awesome stuff there. So there's a lot more 9 out of 10s, guys. There's just so many scores piling in here. It'd be tough to go through everything, but there's far more 9 out of 10 scores, at least 20 or so plus when it comes to 9 out of 10 scores. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the 8s, then we'll get into some of the lower scores and wrap up the video. Next up is from Game Informer. They gave it an 8.5 out of 10 and had this to say: go in with the expectation that it will take some time to find your footing in such a vast gameplay space, and there's a universe well worth discovering here. Next up is from Well Play. They give it an 8.5 out of 10 and had Starfield is a magical, if a little clumsy, first journey to the stars for Bethesda, the RPG maker, reminding us of the power of player freedom, engaging writing, and just a little jank. All right, next up is from VG247. They gave it an 8 out of 10, or 4 stars out of 5, and said Starfield's grandiose scope sets the scene for a few underdeveloped ideas in an otherwise thoughtful, muddy take on the sci-fi genre. Okay, interesting there. Next up is from Trusted Reviews and Ryan Jones, 4 out of 5 stars, so 8 out of 10. And they said, we play every game we review through to the end, outside of certain exceptions where getting 100% completion like Skyrim is close to impossible to do. When we don't fully finish a game before we ruin it, we always alert the reader. Next up is from Hardcore Gamer. They gave it a 4 out of 5, and they said Starfield is a momentous RPG, even if it doesn't quite deliver in all its areas. Next up, from Games Hub, they gave it a 4 out of 5, 80%, 8 out of 10. It's the static and mechanical elements of Starfield that shine the brightest. The art, the environments, the combat systems, they make up the strong foundations of a playset with a very intriguing scenario, but you need to mentally meet Starfield part way to complete its vision of a vast living universe. You need to stretch out the expanse and envision the journey. You need to look past the menus and form the fantasy. You need to help breathe life into its paper dolls. You need to add your own dash of wonder and imagine your own unknowns. Truly, Starfield is a role-playing game through and through. So, I mean, that is a bit intimidating the way that he wrote that, but I mean, it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and get Noisy Pixels with an 8 out of 10, saying Starfield is a true space adventure that only Bethesda can deliver. It's an experience that catered to fans of large expansive RPG narratives, but this one takes it a step further to stretch across an entire universe. There are minor systems and menus that cause confusion, and the lack of real tutorials paired with a flimsy opening holds back the opening hours. Still, the experience is undeniably memorable, and the writing for NPCs makes up the best moments. Although the many systems can be overwhelming, this game is full of discovery for those who play. So awesome stuff there. Let's go ahead and get into the 7 out of 10. So here are some of the controversial ones that we will go over. They're all like back to back to back. So we have PC Gamer, we have IGN, and GameSpot. So Christopher Livingston from PC Gamer gave it a 7.5 out of 10 and said Starfield shares plenty of DNA with Skyrim and Fallout 4, but ultimately falls short of both. And that's interesting, falling short of Fallout 4. I'm not sure how far a game would have to fall further than Fallout 4. I mean, no, listen, I know I have some Fallout 4 fans, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see once we play the game. Next up, from Dan Stapleton at IGN, he gave it a 7 out of 10. And said Starfield has a lot of forces working against it, but eventually the allure of its expansive role-playing quests and respectable combat make its gravitational pull difficult to resist. So definitely talk about some of like the bugs or some of the issues here and there, the clunkiness, maybe the opening taking some time. That's probably what contributed towards this person in particular not necessarily liking it as much as some of the other reviewers. All right. Next up, and the last of the trio of the controversy, is GameSpot with a 7 out of 10, and they stated that Bethesda's spacefaring adventure has its moments with impressive scale, satisfying combat, and some worthwhile side quests, but its shallow RPG systems and uninspired vision of the deep cosmos make for a journey that's a mile wide but an inch deep. Ooh, that's a little bit interesting there. It's shallow RPG systems. I haven't heard that too much when it comes down to it. People talk about some of the other clunkiness of the game, but GameSpot feels that there's shallow RPG elements. Interesting. All right. So that is pretty much it for all of the top, medium, and bottom scores. There's a bunch of unscored or recommended or not or whatever the case is. So you guys can check that out. So it's looking like around an 87. I think I predicted an 88. So it could still go up with more reviews coming in, but right around what I thought. I felt that it was going to be high 80s. That's where I ultimately felt that it was going to land. And that's exactly where it is at. So what are your thoughts on Starfield, guys? What do you think about the reviews so far? Do you plan on picking up the game? Do you plan on not? Do you plan on waiting? Game Pass? How are you going to experience or not experience Starfield? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out our other content on RPGs and more right here on PlayerEssence. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace.